Hi all, I haven't done a video in a while, and I thought I would do a short video on this Trailhawk project that I've been working on. I found a thread online where a bunch of people were doing mods on the Cold Steel Trailhawk, and some of them were really impressive mods. Not anything I really would aspire to do because some of them required some pretty elaborate work, but I thought it'd be fun, so I ordered a couple of them. This is the Trailhawk as it comes from the factory. There's no modifications to it other than I took the sticker off. And just to go over the way it comes from the factory, you know, it's got this nice 22-inch handle. The Trailhawk itself, of course, it's got the blade side of it. I think it's 1090 steel, carbon steel. It's got this fairly tough paint on it. And then it's got the hammerhead, of course, on the end for driving in tent spikes or whatever you need there. It's got a set screw in it. I don't know if you can see that very well, but there's a set screw there to keep it in place. And that's about it. You know, as you can see, the blade's pretty thin. It's not like a hatchet. You know, that's one of the differences between a hatchet and a hawk, is that the blade's pretty thin and it's pretty light. As far as a backpacking practical purpose perspective, you know, the advantage of this is that it is very light compared to a full-blown hatchet, but it's also not as functional. You know, you couldn't split wood nearly as easily with this, and the edge isn't as nearly as big, and it's got some disadvantages. So I don't know really how practical it is. You know, there's some people that do take it with them in the woods. Certainly it would be a useful tool in the woods, but I don't know that it would be your ideal choice really in any given situation. But it would be handy if you didn't have a hatchet, for sure. That's about it. You know, it doesn't come particularly nice sharp edge. I mean, it's okay, it would get the job done more or less. And the fit is a little loose. You can rock the thing. That's not a perfect seat in the wood. And that's one of the reasons they have to have a set screw in there, is because it doesn't meet the metal and the wood don't match up very precisely. But overall, I mean, it is a good product. I not to put any downside on it. I mean, it's very cost effective. It's not unreasonably priced at all, and with the hammerhead on there, it's a lot more functional than just a straight hawk. Because then you can, like I said, you can drive tent pegs or any number of other things with that, and overall it is pretty light compared to a hatchet. But anyway, the project part of it was why I bought it, and I just thought it'd be fun to do. And so, with that said, this is the modified version of it. So, you know, it's obviously the same thing other than some modifications that I made. So I'll just go over those real quick. I sanded all the paint off. Just didn't really like the black paint. How practical is this? Nah, probably not terribly. I mean, it can rust. If you take care of it, you really won't have a problem with that. You know, if you oil it every once in a while and just don't leave it outside and stupid stuff like that, it'll stand up pretty well. But so, you know, it was more of a style thing. But sanded off all the paint, polished it. Didn't try to get it down to a super shine, but you know, it's pretty decent. There's still some deep scratches in it that I'd have to do a lot more work to get out, because it wasn't really intended for this kind of purpose. But reprofiled the edge, more of a convex edge now, certainly a lot sharper than it was. I took the set screw out. I reamed out the hole a little bit and sanded down the wood so that there'd be a much better fit. So there's no set screw, but just the friction fit on there will hold it in place pretty well. I polished everything. You can kind of see the polish on the end is pretty good. You can use it kind of like a mirror. I mean, I don't know why you would, but it's pretty shiny on the end there. Obviously, that's not particularly practical since you're going to just beat the crap out of it when you put it into use. But I also put this weave on it. I thought that would be helpful if you're using it. So if you over aim and you hit the wood here, then that'll give it a bit of a cushion against the wood, so you're not as likely to split. Also, it would hold it together and stuff if the wood did split a little bit. I also put paracord down here as just as a handle position. Lined that in. I drilled out the end and put in a brass piece that you could put a 550 cord through and and put a lanyard on. I just haven't done that yet. I stained a little bit, gave it a little bit darker patina than the factory. Put some black stain and then sanded that off to make the grain pop out a little bit better. And so that's about it. But it was a fun project. I was really kind of surprised that the metal got as shiny and cleaned up as it did. I never really messed around with that too much, but that turned out better than I expected. Didn't think it would get quite that shiny. And that's about it. Another word about just the practicality. I mean, it's certainly a nice design for a hawk. Like I said, it wouldn't be bad, but realistically, if I'm going to really need something, then I'm probably going to take this. It's a Wetterlings 19-inch handled axe hatchet. I haven't modified this at all. This is just as it comes, other than I've reprofiled the blade a little bit. But it's obviously a much thicker profile than the Hawk is, and it's got a lot more chopping power, a little bit bigger blade, just a much more ergonomic handle, much thicker handle. But it also weighs easily twice as much, I'd say. I haven't weighed them, but so if I'm going to go into the woods and I really needed a hatchet, I'm going to take this. I'm going to take the Wetterlings. But anyway, this was fun to work on. Another thing I did is I made a little sheath, nothing fancy, just enough to protect the blade if I wanted to put this thing in my backpack or whatever. So that provides a protection for the blade and a protection for anything that I'm carrying with this thing. I could put it in kind of a holster configuration as far as the way I carry the hatchet. I'm sorry, the Hawk. Or just stuff it in my backpack, and this would keep it from boogering up or cutting anything else that's in my pack. I could basically carry it the same way I'd carry my Wetterlings, which in that case I usually just strap it to the side. So anyway, that was a little bit longer than I meant to go, but those are the mods that I've made to it. If you have any questions or comments, just let me know. Thank you.